James, thanks for your time. How are you, first of all, and how's life at Quins?
It's good, yeah. Quinn's obviously it's not going too bad. We're not where we'd like to be, but I think we're slowly improving, showing some good improvements from last season, and we want to push for that top four, push for that top spot. So that's where we're building. A couple of big weeks in the Premiership coming up.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams sort of concertinaed. I think it's 6 teams between 4th and 9th that have only got a few points between them. Harlequins sort of doing quite well with the 4 losing bonus points, actually, to make sure that they're in that 5th position, but still only with 3 wins on the board.
Yeah, look, it's been a big import. We've been in every game, I guess, we've played this year, and I think we've got at least a point out of every game, which is important come the business part of the year. So we want to make sure we're fighting and scrapping for everything. And if teams are going to beat us, they're going to have to work hard to do it. So, that's been a big focus of Guzzy and the new coaching staff. So, look, obviously we'd like to get some more wins. There's a couple of, as I said, couple of weeks coming up. Worcester this Friday night, and then Exeter the following week. So, you want to finish that block with some results. And as you said, there's probably one game between dropping from about 5th to about 9th. So it's an important period for the club.
Yeah, it's a big week for your countrymen from Australia who are over here, of course. You played England twice at Twickenham, 2009 and 2013, 1 win, 1 loss. What's the experience like of running out in front of 80,000 at the home of English rugby?
Oh, it's an awesome stadium. I think it's one of the best rugby stadiums in the world. It's the fact that the tradition you can feel there. It is the home for English rugby, so you feel that. You feel it's a purpose-built stadium for rugby, to watch rugby, and I think when it's full, it's a great atmosphere, and the things that all go along around the edges, with the car park being full, the bus drive down through the Lion Gates, that sort of stuff, I think is really unique to Twickenham. So I think it's a fantastic place to play, and it's it'll be full on Saturday afternoon. That's for sure.
Yeah, is it intimidating as a visitor?
I wouldn't say it's intimidating. I think it's exciting. We playing in Australia, you don't really have a home venue. We play obviously all around the country, and most of our games that we play in the Southern Hemisphere, they share the stadiums throughout the country. Whereas you come to the Northern Hemisphere, and I think it's a really unique and special part of playing in the Northern Hemisphere is most of the home nations have their own home ground. You got Ireland at Aviva Millennium for the Welsh, Twickenham for the English. So you can feel that it's their home, that they make it what they want it to look like, and I think that's quite a unique part of playing over here in the Northern Hemisphere.
We're coming to the end of the Australian tour of the Northern Hemisphere. Many people sort of refer to the Wallabies at this time of a tour as having one foot on the beach, perhaps not being totally focused, perhaps on getting a result, should the result not come their way, almost that being the excuse. How much truth is there in something like that?
Oh, I don't think it's more. It could almost work the other way, that you've got one game to go, so you can throw everything you've got at it, because the boys have got probably 5-6 weeks off at the end of this. There's no doubt it's been a long year. Most of the guys would have been playing some form of rugby since late January, early February. So basically been going flat strap since then. So that's there's no doubt that there's that fatigue, sort of mental fatigue factor on it, but. I always thought when you come on these tours, the last game was the one that you'd almost wanted to finish the year on a high, because you've got no rugby to play with that test team probably till June next year. So you've got 6 months to sort of sit and stew that you didn't get it right, or to I guess feel good and have a bit of positivity going into the next year.
We hear the Wallabies camp has got a bit of a stomach bug going round. Assuming players are available, it's a squad that features the likes of Kurtley Beale, Pocock, Hooper, Polotonau, Rob Simmons, Falau, Karevi, Kepu. There's an awful lot of individual talent in that side, and on their day they can obviously play brilliantly and beat the world champions, and on other days can stutter to get going.
Yeah.
What do you think is the sort of what seems to be the perennial issue with the Wallabies at the moment, that they can't quite meet the sum of their parts?
Yeah, I think a little bit. Confidence is certainly an issue. I think they don't seem probably, you can see that when you start losing and things don't go well, they probably lack a little bit of confidence, belief in themselves. There's obviously a lot of guys that have played a lot of rugby. I think Willie Genia is probably going to play his 100th cap if selected on Saturday, which is a huge achievement. Guys like Hooper, Simmons, Kepu played 100 caps a couple of weeks. So you've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of rugby, and then so I think those guys, just getting the confidence in the guys around them, because they obviously know what it takes to win at a test level. We need to make sure that we get the guys around them supporting them, helping them through. And I genuinely think it's a confidence, because when it clicks, I think we can beat, as you said, we can beat anyone in the world. It's just it hasn't clicked this for too many times this year.
Yeah, 4 wins in the last 14 under Cheika in 2018. Obviously, results when you're playing the World Champions in the Rugby Championship can skew that slightly. But is Cheika still trusted to be the man in charge?
I definitely think so. I think you speak to the players who are in the squad, and they really enjoy being coached by him. There's never any whining or complaining about what's going on. It's always very positive. They love being in camp. They love being on tour, and I think that's a sure sign that he's got the support of the players. And as a coach, that's probably the most important thing. If you've got your team behind you, the rest can sort of work from there. So I think he's the guy to get to the World Cup, and after that there might be a reshuffle, whatever. But definitely to get to the World Cup, I think he's the man. And I think people need to probably stop asking for change. Let's get behind them and back them and do everything we can to help them succeed over the next period of time.
We've seen the likes of England and Ireland to a degree seizing opportunities to blood a few players and show a bit more strength in depth over the last year or two. Is there an issue in Australian rugby with the opportunity to do that? Obviously it's great to have long-time servants like Genia, like Kepa, as you mentioned, but are there enough people knocking on the door?
Well, I think depth has always been probably sometimes a slight issue in Australian rugby, due to the fact that we have so many sports that we're competing with to get the talent. Obviously rugby league, AFL, football's obviously growing in popularity in Australia, and then obviously not even looking at the summer sports like cricket and so forth. So I think the more we can have exposed people to playing at a high level is important, I think. But I think we've seen with the Super Rugby and what happened with the Western Force, we probably expanded too quickly. We need to sort of create that base before we look at expanding too much. And I think, guys, we're looking to blood guys. There's been a lot of guys under Cheika that have sort of only ever played under Cheika at a test level, over the last 4 years, and he's blooded a lot of young guys, and they're starting to come through and show what they're worth. But at Super Rugby level, there are guys coming through, but there is a little bit of a gap there at times.
Yeah, if you were in charge, if you had Rowing Castle's job, whether it was from the grassroots side of it or with the national team, what do you think needs to happen with Australian rugby to just get them to that next stage?
I think we just got to go back to the core benefit or beliefs of rugby, and go back to what rugby's about to begin with, and go back to the community, play in smaller stadiums, concentrate on the key rugby areas. I know we like to expand, and I think it's important that we do expand, but I think that we probably have seen that we've expanded too quickly, and that's caused issues not only for the negativity around rugby, but obviously financially as well. And make the most of the assets that we do have, and I think that's probably the most important thing. And build from the bottom up, almost go backwards to go forwards a little bit, and sort of show. You can see in Australia there's a lot of club rugby's got a great following, particularly in Sydney. I think they sold out North Sydney Oval for the club grand final, which is a pure amateur competition. So there is the support there. I think we just need to go about it the right way and sort of, as I said, go to the core beliefs of rugby and then build from there.
This weekend then, England taking on the Wallabies. How do you see this one going? What do you make of the English talent in the ranks that perhaps, you're obviously much closer up to these days, and how things might go?
Look, it's going to be interesting. I think both teams are probably, pretty desperate to get a win. Obviously Australia desperate, not a great year, but want to finish on a high. England have had a pretty, not a bad, campaign, obviously. They probably felt that they probably could have been beaten Japan by a bit more going into the game, but Japan played very well. Pushed the All Blacks all the way to the limit. Not many teams have done that, and then, got a point over South Africa. So look, it's an important one for both teams. I think. Look, I'm a bit one-eyed in supporting Australia, so I think that they can get the job done if they play. I think the weather will play. If it gets wet and slippery, I think that'll play certainly into England's hand. They'll be a bit more pragmatic, a bit more direct. And you saw when that happened against the All Blacks, they're just not used to playing that style of rugby. And I think that was shown evident, even with the charge down, they just didn't know how to exit their own area. And I think hopefully the weather stays like it is today, nice and sunny, so and a dry pitch at Twickenham, and hopefully the Wallabies get the job done.